This is Mitch with the 1000 Houses podcast. I'm here with Sean Zavary. He's out of Houston, Texas. This man has bought 80 to 100 houses a year for the last 3 years. We're going to be talking about wholesaling and flipping. And how are you today, Sean?
I'm doing fantastic, Mr. Mitch. How about yourself?
Doing well. So thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast. So give us a brief background. What were you, where were you raised? How'd you get to this point?
Right. So basically, I'm 29 years old. I got into the real estate industry about 6 years ago, right when I graduated college. So graduated college around like when I was 22, 23 years old. I was working with my family's business before that. We have a retail furniture store called Exclusive Furniture. It's the Empire now. They have like about 7 locations all around town. Stores are like 40,000 square feet plus. Warehouses, over 100, 150,000 square foot plus warehouse. So I was working with them for about 7 years. And then as I was getting closer to graduating college, I started thinking like, am I going to do this for the rest of my life? Because that was the plan to do the family business for the rest of my life. I'm the youngest sibling out of, I have 2 older brothers and 1 older sister. Dad started this company back in '98. So it was a seasoned company when I was in 2016, when I was kind of having these second thoughts on like, am I going to stay here? Am I not? Long story short, kind of really, self-evaluated, figure out like, hey, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to deal with furniture. I don't want to be in the retail world for the rest of my life. So, kind of looked at all the other industries, saw what I was good at. Because when I work with my family, I did a lot of different, I wore different hats, right? Because, when you work with your family, I was doing warehouse manager, I was doing deliveries, I was doing sales, I was doing inventory. I was doing a lot of accounts payable, accounts receivable, a lot of different things. And as I started self-evaluating on what I enjoyed the most, it was sales. So I was like, I'm going to get into the sales industry. And then, slowly but surely, real estate stumbled upon. And
How did you stumble into real estate?
So how I stumbled into real estate, that's a good question. So basically, my girlfriend at the time, who is my wife now, she's actually working for a builder who was out in Sugar Land selling a bunch of new homes, and she was an assistant for the sales rep. So she was assistant for the sales rep, and as I was talking to her, figuring out what's my next goal, what's my next step, or what's my next career path, she was like, "Have you thought about real estate?" I was like, "Not really. I haven't really thought about real estate." She was like, "Oh, because my boss, who's a salesperson, she clocked in about 600,000 last year," and I was like, "She clocked in 600,000 selling homes?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, real estate is the answer. Let's go." And that was it. That was where I was like, all right. So long story short, I went to real estate for the money. But now being in it for 6 years, it's,
So you went in as a real estate agent or
no.
new
So
home?
that's what kind of got me intrigued in real estate. I was like, all right, so real estate is the answer. And as I started researching real estate, reading books, kind of just going on different blog posts, bigger pockets and whatnot, I was like, hey, there's real estate agents, and then there's real estate, salespeople who sell new homes, and then there's also investors who fix and flip houses like AGTV. So I was like, I like the fix and flip kind of. I'm gonna go the investor route. So I started researching real estate investing. How do I get in real estate investing? All while I was in college. My last semester in college, I was researching all that. While I was in college, I forgot what class I was in. I was on Instagram, and basically I got a sponsored ad from a guy named Nick Ruiz. I don't know if you're familiar with who Nick Ruiz is. I got a sponsored ad from him saying that how you can fix and how you can buy properties, no money, and you can, flip properties. And, I was like, well, that's intriguing. So I clicked on his ad and saw like his students making 25K, 20K, 15K, flipping houses or flipping, doing wholesaling. And I was like, well, what is this? So I started, digging more into real estate wholesaling. And after that, I bought his course. He had a course, by the grace of God, he had a course that special promotion went on in the month of May when I was graduating, for $2 a month. And I was like, well, okay, well, I'll go ahead and buy it for $2 a month. After the $2 and it renews to $99. So I went ahead and bought his course for $2 a month, kind of learned a little bit more what real estate wholesaling was, ran into Sean Terry Flip to Freedom's podcast. And basically it was Sean Terry Flip to Freedom podcast and Nick Ruiz's Alpha Flipping course that got me started in real estate. And they said, put up bandit signs. I put up bandit signs. They said, send letters to sellers. I sent letters to sellers. They said, go driving for dollars. I went driving for dollars. And then that's how I landed my first deal.
Yeah. So you started full-time 3 years ago?
No. I started full-time 6 years ago. Okay. In 2016 of May. So May 31st, 2016 was when I put my first bandit sign out. That was my first marketing channel I did. And that's when I officially started my real estate investing, wholesaling.
Hey, because you've ramped up pretty quick. I was just noticing, in 6 years to be doing 80 to 100 houses. I mean, you're a sophisticated, smart, driven person. And, because to you and me, it might look easy, but there's some kind of talent to it, because I know a lot of people that can't do it. And I don't know why exactly they can't do it, but it's a lot of different factors. But,
right.
It takes some dedication, right? Because you don't start off out of a cannon if you don't know anything about it. It's just like anything else. You got to learn to walk before you run. I think wholesaling is probably 97% of the people start out in that business. You know what I mean? Start out in the wholesaling business. I didn't start out that way, but I didn't even know what wholesaling was back then. I was buying houses, creating notes, and selling the notes. And that's how I started. I was buying houses on my credit cards because 1996, in this town behind me, the silhouette of San Antonio, Texas, in 1996, in the lesser parts of town, you could pick up houses for $8 and $10 and $12 and $15,000. Wow. 30 years ago, 25 years ago. So I was buying houses on my credit cards, taking another credit card to fixing it, selling it, owner financing, and selling the note. And I did it hundreds of times in a row. But most people start at wholesaling, which is a great way to start, right?
Yeah, I see it as the gateway drug to get into real estate. I mean, you learn so much just wholesaling. You learn the lingo, the verbiage. You learn how to market, and once you learn how to do wholesaling, then you kind of you hold the value. Now you can go ahead and wholesale this property, fix and flip this property, buy and hold this property, and then it's just. You can use those strategies that you learn in wholesaling, which is a marketing and acquisition company, to any other business that you want to get into, because that's what it is, marketing and acquisitions at the end of the day.
Yep. Marketing acquisitions, in that first house, even if you make just a little profit, it's a huge revelation, right? I took I had no money. I took my expertise and my time, and I generated a check. Tell me about your first deal.
So my first deal, so it's from a bandit sign that I put out, because I used to put bandit signs. That was my marketing strategy. In Houston, I became known as the bandit sign guy, because I was basically putting out, in the beginning when it was just me learning the business. And when I didn't, when I stopped my family's business, or when I went different ways, I still had a sufficient savings account in my, I had money saved up. So I knew that I was not going in with like no money. But again, I was just learning the business. So I was putting up like 100 bandit signs a weekend, or 100 bandit signs at night on Friday and Saturday night, until I started finding traction and then hiring guys out. So anyways, back to your question, how my first deal was from a bandit sign that I put out. Miss Ruby actually called me I still remember her name. I still remember her address, because that deal kind of changed the whole, it didn't change my life entirely.
It smashed your limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I figured out this is real. I mean, I already knew this was real, because when I was in Nick's Ruiz's course, all I would watch, Mitch, most of the time, what I would watch is just the testimonials of other people saying like, hey, I did this, I did that, or I got this much, because that just gave me the belief, like, all right, this is true. If they can do it, so can I. But once I got that first deal, it just opened up the gates, and it got me momentum, because my first deal I got 2 months into the business. So putting bandit signs, sending letters, 2 months in, just consistently 7 days a week, sending letters out. When I was not sending letters, I was driving around for dollars. When I was not driving around for dollars, I was putting out bandit signs Friday and Saturday night. And then I got my first deal 2 months in. So Miss Ruby Davis called me out to her house. It was at her grandmother's house. She'd been vacant for about 8 years. She was like, hey, I got this property. I don't think there's much to it. Can you go ahead and, come look at it? So I went out there, looked at it the next day. We couldn't even get in. It was basically a condemned property. It was a tear down. I didn't know what area it was, because I didn't really know too much, like where the hot spots were as I do now. But she owed 15,000 in back taxes. It was her and her two other siblings. They wanted 5K to walk away with. So that was another 15,000. So it was about 30K. We went back and forth. I have a sales background. I'm not going to ever give you the first, I'm not going to, we just went back and forth. I went ahead and got her down to 23K, gave her 23K, signed the contract right then and there. And as I'm basically leaving the appointment, I'm driving around for dollars because that's what I was taught. When you leave an appointment, whatever house you're at or wherever you go, make sure you drive around the neighborhood, look for other distressed properties or for sale by owners. I'm driving around the neighborhood after I got that property under contract. I see a for sale by owner sign. I call that for sale by owner sign. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I was just seeing what property, this property that you have for sale. Like, no, I'm not selling a property. It's that little lot that you see on the corner. I'm like, so you're selling? Oh, so you're selling this little lot? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I just picked up I just picked up a house, and so it turned out to be that for sale by owner turned out to be a buyer. So I told him about the property that I just got put under contract. He goes, oh, I'm interested. Can I come look at it? So within an hour, he came and looked at the property that I put under contract. He liked it. He said, what's your price? And I was like, oh shit, I just got it right now. I was like, I don't know, 40K. And he goes, 40K, it's a done deal. He shook my hand. He goes, let's go to the title company and put the earnest money. I was like, you're ready to go? He goes, yeah, I'm ready to go. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we went ahead and signed the assignment contract right then and there. Well, I didn't have the assignment contract. We went to the title company. They printed out an assignment contract for us. We signed it. He gave the earnest money to the title company. And that's how I locked in my first deal.
So you made upwards of 10 grand in your first deal. That's an eye opener, shatters a lot of limiting beliefs. Like, I need money to start this business, which is, if everybody needed money to start the business, no one would ever start, right? Because everyone I know started broke pretty much.
Right.
And scared. So were you married when you did this first deal?
No, I wasn't married. I had the girlfriend who's my wife now. So I started.
You had support, or it sounds like you had the support of your significant other. A lot of people sometimes aren't that fortunate, but you had your support.
I had the support from my family. I had the support from my mom, especially. Because it was a big thing for them. They're like, hey, you're leaving the family business to do your own thing. Like, it was, they were just kind of shocked a little bit, but they supported me. And that was shocking for me, that they were like, go ahead and go do what you want to do. So that meant the most to me, that my family was supporting me. I had my girlfriend who was supporting me. She ended up coming, working together. So about 6 months in, she saw that I was actually getting some deals and whatnot. She was like, hey, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to start working with you. And I was like, I don't know if I have anything for you to do. I'm just a one-man show. And she goes, well, we'll figure something out. So she ended up quitting like the next day after we had this conversation. And she was like, all right, where do I meet you at? We're going to go ahead and start this thing together. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So me and her ended up partnering up, I guess you can say, or it was just me and her for all of 2017.
So what kind of income did you walk away from?
She walked away from, I think, like about 4 or 5K a month. So about 48 to 60K. And she was still in school. She was still in college. So she, so she walked away, but she knew that was not her. She was just an assistant for the sales rep. And then she was doing some other stuff for them.
I was just pointing out, took a leap of faith and gave up, and decided to really, put all in, you know what I mean? Which is a scary thing. I never suggest that people just leap and quit their job and run into this. I say, burn the candle at both ends for a little while and prove a couple of deals. Put 7, 8, 15, $20,000 in the bank. And then once you are a little more confident, only you can decide when to do it. But I never tell anyone to jump out and quit to see if this business is for you, because, these TV shows and HGTV, whatever, they all gloss over it. They do a 2-month rehab in 30 minutes. Hell yeah, it looks easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just like how you said, Mitch, in the beginning, it's not for like everyone. Like everyone, a lot of people try, but they just can't accomplish it for some reason here and there. There's a bunch of reasons why, but it's not for everyone, because it's like I said, it's a simple business, but it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah. So when you first started out, it's you and your wife, you guys are wearing all the hats. It sounds like your business has morphed into a completely different thing now, because you couldn't buy 80 to 100 houses and fix them and sell them and handle everything by yourself. So tell me what your office has evolved to now.
All right, great question. So currently, we have about 8 people on our team. Half of them are in office, half of them are virtual. We have a kind of hybrid company, I guess you can call it. In office, we have our disposition agent, who's also our transactional coordinator. So that's one person. Her name is Ashley. We have 2 acquisition guys who are in the office as well. And then we have me. So that's 4 people that are in the office. And so that's acquisition department and basically disposition and transactional coordinator, who deals with all the, title work and all that good stuff, selling the deals. And then overseas, we have my executive assistant, Michelle, who's in the Philippines. She's been with me the longest. She was actually my first hire back in, what was it, end of 2017, December of 2017. She was my first hire.
So I just want to point out real quick, he saw real quick, he needed help. So within a year of being in the business, he's got someone to delegate something to, like you got to start offloading stuff relatively quickly, because the burnout factor,
right,
and the mistakes that you make when you're doing any volume beyond whatever your capacity is, and then you don't have anyone to help you, it can get pretty muddy, right? Did you feel that? Obviously you did. You wouldn't have hired the VA.
Yeah. We definitely was, it was me and my wife. We were just running around like our, chickens with our head cut off. I mean, we did a lot of volume. We had a great time, but at the end of the year, we're like, wow, that was great, but we do not want to do that again. Like, it was just too much. It was, it's not sustainable.
So what does this VA do for you?
Currently, right now, she's done a lot of things for me. She's done, she's been with me for 5 years. She's done a lot of things. But currently, right now, she does our KPIs. She pays the monthly
Explain KPI.
Key performance indicator. So as in, how many calls are the acquisition guys making? How many offers are they making? Out of those offers, what contracts do they have? KPIs also, as in, she does our profit and losses, as in, how much, what was our revenue for March? How many properties did we assign for March? Which property, out of those properties that we assigned, how many dropped? She has all these numbers for us. So basically, I'm just looking at it from
from a CEO's position.
Yeah.
So, what did you start out paying this VA, and where's she at today?
So currently, we started off paying her about, it was like $5.25 an hour. Currently, right now, she's paying $7.75.
Right, and then you got to. I'm assuming you'll take care of them with little bonuses and things along the way.
Yeah. She gets taken care of really well. So basically, every quarter she gets anywhere from a $200 to $300 bonus. Christmas, I mean, she got last 3 months, 4 months ago, I gave her a bonus of $500. But I don't like to give them too much, because you got to understand the ratio of their,
Yeah, so I was going to point that out. $7 an hour over there is like $50,000-$60,000 a year here. You know what I mean? So people that make $7-8 an hour in the Philippines, plus their bonuses and stuff, I mean, they have servants. Of course, the servants over there are $1 an hour or 50 cents an hour or whatever. I haven't been there. I don't know, but it's very cheap, and it's all related. They have it's the peso system over there in the Philippines, and I forget what the exchange rate, 20 to 1 or whatever the hell it is. But it turns out there's a whole ton of things, you can do. If you go to 1000houses.com/VA help, you can see a company there that will find VAs for you. Most of these are trained already, because there's a lot of VAs that know how to work in this industry. So that's a salary, but it's a pretty nominal salary, certainly for the work that they do and for the load they can take off your shoulders. Let's talk about your acquisition guys. How do you pay them?
So my acquisition guys are in the office. They get paid. So when they come into the business, when they come into the company, they come in as a junior acquisition. Nobody ever comes in as just a regular acquisition or senior acquisition. You got to work your way up. So when you come in as a junior acquisition, you get paid $1,600 a month, plus 3% commission on any live transfers that you do. So you come in as a junior, and what you're basically doing is calling leads that are already in our system, pre-qualifying them or getting them back on the phone. Because when a lead gets into our system, getting them back on the phone is a challenge. So they're basically getting them back on the phone, pre-qualifying them, seeing if they do want to sell, if our ballpark is in their ballpark price, if they are motivated, if they are, they do a live transfer to the senior acquisition who goes ahead and closes the deal. If the senior acquisition closes the deal, then they get the junior acquisition gets 3% of that cut. That's only a temporary role. They're only in that role for about 1 to 4 months. It's a stepping stone. So now they're learning our system, they're learning our processes, they're learning while they're actually, in the business. So
they're learning while they're accommodating, or they're getting, they're getting paid to learn and work. So,
and with honestly, Mitch, and within 2 to 3 weeks, we're able to tell like, hey, this person is gonna be able to, get to that senior role or get to the acquisition manager role or whatnot. So, within 1 to 4 months, they take the step up to an acquisition manager and then kind of go from there. So, but it's $1,600 a month plus an incentive of $500. So $500 if they meet their KPIs. Their KPIs is making, so we're on a multi-line dialer in our Podio system. So they need to be making 300 calls a day. They need to be doing 5 live transfers a week, meaning pre-qualified, at least 5, qualified sellers. And out of those 20 that they do in a month, if they do 20 in a month, at least 3 of them need to turn into a contract. So 20 to 3 ratio. If they reach that 20 to 3 ratio of live transfers to contracts, do 5 live transfers a week, and hit 300 calls a day. We're not really too important on the calls. I'm not too super strict on it. I'm really looking for quality. The quality is the live transfers and the live transfers to contracts. If they do that, then they get $500 for the month. So that turns into a $2,100 month salary plus 3% commission. That's for the junior acquisition.
So the commission is based on your acquisition price?
Commission is based off of our gross profit.
Okay, so they got to wait till the deal's fully consummated. And so you're doing flips. So they're getting paid that 3% when your money hits the table.
Absolutely.
Okay, really good.
And about 80% of our business, 85% of our business, I'll say 85% is wholesaling.
Okay, so it's pretty quick turnaround then.
It's quick turnaround. And if it is that 15%, which we are doing flips, we used to do heavy flips, 50, 60 grand, rehabs and all that good stuff. But it's not what I want my lifestyle to be. I don't want to be doing 50, 60K rehabs just because I just don't.
So out of 100 houses a year, what are you saying? 70% are wholesales?
Yeah. 70%.
Okay, then how do you handle your salesperson, which you called your disposition person, and also she's your closer? Is that what you said?
No, she's my transactional coordinator. So she's the one who helps with the title company, getting all the affidavit airships or paperwork that the title company needs. She's a liaison between the seller and the title company.
And how does she get paid?
She gets paid. So currently right now, she's getting paid $2,500 a month salary plus 4% commission on any, on the closed profit potential. And then she gets paid $100 per transaction she closes.
Okay.
So, but the 4% that she gets paid is 4% anywhere from 0 to 20K profit. And then 20 to 35 is 5%. And then 35 and up, anything that's 35,000 profit, she gets paid 6% commission.
Okay. So, everybody's business is different. You got to do what makes sense to you. And, you got to be able to find and hold affiliates or teammates. You got to be able to hold them. I don't like to call them employees because we probably are 10, they're probably subcontractors, right?
No, they're W-2. That's what they get salary.
Okay. So it varies a little bit at my office, just for the sake of conversation. For the
What is yours?
Our acquisitions, we give a little stipend, like you said, $1,600 a month for people that are being trained, and then they get a small little piece of anything that consummates. But we sell or finance most of our notes, so like we don't have a big paycheck. So we pay our acquisition guys when we borrow the money to buy the house, because we're going to hold it for a long time. We also borrow whatever they're charging for the house. So their fee is included in my expenses to purchase the house. And then I have my ratios there that we have to be within. So I have, like you said, the interns who are getting that $1,600 a month stipend or whatever, they're either in or they're out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then they're going on to
They're in and out quick.
just paid upon success. And then my sales, I have 2 salespeople. They function off of paid upon success totally. So I have very little payroll except for 3 administrators in my office that have to make everything run. And we even tie them with little bonuses. So we try to keep the salaries down, tie them to the success of the company too, so they can make really good money if the company does really good. Just trying to keep from getting on a hamster wheel that I can't get off of, and so that's how we, the sales guys are 100%, but we're collecting $15,000 and $20,000 and $30,000 down payments, and it's real easy to pay them out of that. They're 3% of the sales price.
Yeah. So and then so the junior acquisition of $1,600 a month, plus the $500 incentive, which is $2,100 plus 3%. And then the actual acquisition, once you graduate, once you kind of are able to close your own deals and do whatnot, you get $2,000 a month plus 7% commission. And then you have an incentive of $500 if you're able to reach 2 contracts, reach your KPIs basically. They have different metrics we're tracking for, acquisition agents versus junior acquisitions. So it's not like live transfers. They're getting tracked on how many contracts they put under contract or how many contracts they put under contract a week and things of that nature. So if they hit those KPIs, then they get a $500 bonus. So it's $2,000 a month plus 7% commission for the acquisition guys. And then those are my 2 acquisition guys that I have in office, right? And then I have virtual acquisition guys. I have 3 of them, and basically they get paid hourly, $4.50 an hour. What they're doing is basically just calling leads that are already in our system. Same thing that junior acquisition does. They're calling leads in our system, pre-qualifying them, seeing if they are looking to sell, sense their motivation, and they do a live once they get them on the phone and pre-qualify them, they do a live transfer to our senior acquisition who's in the office so they can go ahead and close it.
Yeah, that live transfer is really important because it's really hard to get these guys back on the line after they hang up. They don't recognize the phone number that's calling in, so and they're probably getting a lot of different calls if they're out there in the marketplace. So that live transfer is really important, I think.
Change the business for us.
So our system is kind of the same, but a little different, but it's that way with every office. There's no right way or wrong way, just as long as you win, as long as you're winning, right?
As long as the outcome is income.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. As long as the outcome is income. What's a typical day for Sean look like now that you have learned all this delegation?
So a typical day. So now my days have changed, especially recently. So I have a little background on my family, on my family right now. So, the girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now. We have 2 kids, 2 beautiful kids. I have a 19-month-old toddler, and I have a 2-month-old baby boy. So basically, my time at the office for the past 3 to 4 months have been very different than what it has been for the past year. Even last year, I was very limited. So, instead of working 40, 50 hours coming into the office from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 that I used to do before I had kids, now it's like, 9:30 to it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And now it's still that. Now it's like kind of like 9:30 to I leave the office by 3:15 to go pick up my daughter from school, pick her up from school, then go home. And then after that, I'm just kind of home for the rest of the evening, helping my wife out with the newborn, family time. I'll still take some calls here and there, but after 5 o'clock, I'm done. I don't take any calls. I don't, anything that needs to be addressed gets addressed the next morning or through text message when the kids are asleep. But yeah, so my day looks typically very different. My team handles the majority of the day to day. I'm kind of working on the business, not in the business. So typical day, I come in around 9:30 preferably, because I drop off my daughter to school at 9. Come in at 9:30, check the KPIs. We do meetings every day. So Monday will be a team meeting. Tuesday, which is today, I'll just catch up on emails and, a lot, different stuff that I need to be taken care of. I have other businesses as well, other than the wholesaling business. I have other businesses. I'm working on those. Wednesday, we do one-on-ones with the team members. So every member, I do a one-on-one with them, just make sure they're on the same page, just so we're practicing transparency. Thursday, same thing, working on the business, making sure the KPIs are good. I have a sales manager, so he does the acquisition meetings. So yeah, I'm not really talking to sellers or anything like that. Thursday, and then Friday we work from home. So we're Monday through Thursday, office is open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Friday, everybody works from home. So we have a Friday meeting at 9:15 that the whole team gets on just to see what everybody's doing, how have they won the week, and just to stay in communication with the team. And that's pretty much it. But yeah.
So is your office a house that you bought, or are you leasing? Is it a freestanding building, or what is it?
Oh, we're actually in like a five level building.
Okay, and how much space do you have?
We're about 1,400 square feet.
Yeah, and what's that overhead?
About $3,000 a month.
Okay, I'm just trying to paint a picture for people that are trying to get to where you're at, kind of like what is
$3,000
it?
a month, and don't get me wrong, you can get offers for a lot cheaper, but I'm in a good part of Houston. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Houston, but I'm in near Galleria, Highland Village area. I'm in a good part because I used to live in this area. I used to live here, so I wanted the convenience of being right next to my office. That was the reason why I chose this office. And then just the building, I fell in love with the building. We moved to Sugar Land. We moved to the suburbs because, had kids. My wife wanted a bigger yard. The houses over here have small yards. Unless you want to pay about $1.5 million for a house, you get a little bigger yard. So we're going to move to the suburbs. So we moved to the suburbs. I have about a 25-minute commute, which is still good, but it's in the middle of the city. I'm in the city. So my guys who are coming from Spring, it's a 35-minute commute for them. My people who are coming from, south part of the town, it's still a 30-minute commute for me. I'm in the middle of the city. I'm in a good area. When we talk to sellers and we tell them where we're at, that just builds instant credibility. They search stuff. They come to our office. We have sellers coming over here, and as soon as they walk into the building, they're like, well, why don't you have a contract set out right here?
These guys are legit, right?
Yeah, so we have a nice office, nice, standing desk. I'm sitting on a standing desk right now. Standing desk, everybody's standing desk, nice chairs, nice little art pieces around here and there. But how
are you funding your deals?
Private money, and I'll do some hard money here and there, but private money. And then if we do some quick flips, like a house that we're buying for $65,000 this week. It's actually closing on Friday, so I'll just give you an example. Closing on Friday, $65,000 we're paying for the house. We're gonna put about 15 to 20K into it. I don't even think we're gonna get to 20, but 15 to 20. We're just new floors, painting it, just a hotel, as you can say, painting it, putting it back on the market. We're using our own money, right? So about 85 in, and then we can sell it for about 182, 185, around 180, 185. We can sell it for. So it'll be a quick flip, and that I'm using my own cash. But for other deals where we're buying properties for like 110 or anything over 100, we'll rather not use our own cash. We have private money lenders that we can,
Okay, what kind of rates are you paying for private money?
Private money is about 8%, and that's it. No origination, about $500.
So the funding, the private lenders, how did you learn to raise private money? How did your private money stable? How did you build it up?
Just from when I was wholesaling, I saw a lot of people who were buying properties from me cash. So when it was time for me to be like, all right, let me go take these properties down myself, I said, let me go to those buyers who I had that bought for me a good amount of times. Let me go to them and see if they want to lend some cash to me. So I would just go to them and like, hey, if I have a real estate deal, would you be willing to, loan me on the purchase and the rehab? So it didn't start off with 8%. It started off with 10 to 11 or whatnot.
Yeah, you work your way down, right?
Once we built that relationship, then we worked our way down to 8%. Say, hey, I'm bringing you a lot of deals. I can still bring you more deals. I have other people who want to loan to me, but let's just go ahead and create a win-win situation. Let's just go ahead and do 8%. So I have two people who loan me 8%. And then I'll have some guys do 10%. If the 8% guys don't want to do it, then I'll have someone who do 10% with, sometimes he charges like it's a 1% origination fee. They're more hard money, but they're quick.
I don't like to renegotiate. Like if I had someone at 10%, I don't like to renegotiate with them. I just will talk to the new people that show up in my life about 8%. And I'll leave the 10% guys alone but as I get enough or too much 10% money, I start talking to the new people about 8% or whatever, ratchet down. And then I wait until my 10% people go, why aren't you getting my money out? And then I say, well, I got all this 8% money and I would get you out and I would get you out first, but I have a fiduciary responsibility to my business. And if someone wants to loan your business at 10% or at 8%, I mean, you have to spend the 8% money first. And that's why your money's sitting on the sideline, which is if they're going to convert or lower their rate, that's when they would come at that point. I just never really wanted to go back and renegotiate with anyone, unless it was their idea, unless they started asking questions. I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just telling you how I looked at it and I built it up. I have about, because I have to borrow in the seller finance strategy, I have to borrow money for longer terms that's wrappable. I have to borrow money from my private lenders on a 15-year AM.
Oh, yeah.
Fully amortized, 8%. Because so when I get that money out, their 100 grand or their 200 grand is out. It stays out for a long time. So I have to find another person. It's not like a flip or a wholesale where the money goes in and then the money comes back out.
No, it takes a while.
My money's out there. So that's why my number is so big. Double-edged sword. I mean, people really like the fact that their money sits and, they don't have to be in and out all the time. There's a lot less paperwork. They're just collecting payments from me on their money every month on the 1st. It's cool. Some people don't want to loan that long. So I got a list of those short-term people that if I want to do a flip or I got to grab some short-term money or some bridge money, I got those people, they're all in different buckets and you just go around and look at the buckets, right? That's what you do.
Yeah. And do you have a certain criteria on like owner finance on like only 200K and below, or is that a certain criteria that you do?
Well, we'll look at houses 350 or under, but the owner finance homes are the affordable homes. You know what I mean? Like the cheaper homes, 100, 150, the 175, the 200. We're looking at even up to 400 because if you get a $400,000 house for 250, I mean, I'm not going to seller finance it because it doesn't make as much sense. Although you can seller finance those homes under certain conditions, but it's just, and those homes would just flip them. You know what I mean? We'll just make the $200,000 spread or the $100,000 spread or whatever, because seller financing works best on affordable houses or on land or something a little cheaper, mobile homes and land or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's a real pleasure to talk to someone who takes the bull by the horns and gets the distance that you've gotten in 6 years. It's really impressive, Sean, if you don't mind me saying,
I appreciate it. By the grace of God. Well,
right. Me too. Like you always got to give it up to the man upstairs because he don't want this to work out. It's not going to work out.
Absolutely.
What were your thoughts when the pandemic was rolling around? Like nobody really knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. So when the pandemic was rolling around, I was going through a lot with the company just because it was more of the team part of it. I had a huge team at one point, Mitch. I mean, I didn't have this small lean team.
There's a lesson learned, right?
Yeah, I had a huge team. I had about 6 sales guys. I had one disposition agent. I had one transactional coordinator. So I was 8 people, and then I barely had any virtual people, just my 2 VAs that were doing texting and Michelle who was doing admin stuff. I had a huge team. I think I had to make about 75 to 80 grand a month to break even. So
that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it was scary, but the crazy part is, Mitch, I did not know that when I was in it. When I was in the business, I didn't know like, hey, I need to make 70, 80. I was just in it and I was just going and we're knocking out deals. We're doing like 15 deals at that time. We're just so many deals are coming in, coming out. It was just it was a zoo over here. So at that time I didn't know until a blessing in disguise came where I found out some about some of the sales guys I had. They were trying to do their own little thing, double dip the company. You know how they try to do that. So anyways, I got a catch of it and I let a couple guys go, and then some guys went out on their own, and then
they'll be broke.
And then pandemic hit, and then I was like, okay, well, we cut down the team. Now we gotta all work from home. So every day we're on Zoom calls, two times a day. 9:30 meeting and then a 4:15 meeting just to kind of catch up. So I mean, we kept marketing. I didn't stop marketing. I didn't stop marketing. We didn't stop calling people. We didn't stop, we just kept business. We kept just doing our business. And 2020 was the best year that we ever had. I have not had a better year than 2020. And 2020 was the year of pandemic. I mean, last year you can count it, but not really. Now it's nowhere to be found. But anyways,
Yeah, it was the best year because you didn't quit. Everyone else quit. Everyone else went home. Like, you're the only guy open. We were showing houses from the car. They'd meet out there, 2 cars, and the guy would already have the door unlocked, and they'd be on speakerphone, and the people would get out of their car and they'd walk through the house, and then they'd get back in the car and they'd talk, and
yeah,
because you had to sell. You have to buy and you have to sell, or you don't have a business.
Nope.
So you have to figure it out.
Yeah. And then a lot of people stop marketing. That's the worst thing you could do, is stop marketing. So because just like the way business owners were scared, like what's going to happen next, homeowners were scared too, right? So they're thinking, what am I going to do next? So we're continuing marketing. And that's where I got that lean, where I got a lean team, where I ended up, getting rid of the junk, getting rid of the fat that we didn't need. We had subscriptions that, were doing the same things, but we just didn't know we had subscriptions doing the same thing. Because, operations expenses is, it can add up on you. So we had operations expense that was high, payroll went down, operations went down. And then, we just started focusing on quality deals rather than quantity. So 2019, our average deal size was like 12K a month. 2020, it jumped up to 17. 2021, last year, we had 21,000. And this year is going to easily be over 30. So we're dealing with quality deals now. I'm talking about the wholesale side of it. I'm not talking about fix and flips.
Yeah.
70% of our business at that time, 2019, 2020, I was just 100% wholesaling. 2021, we started kind of dabbling into, flips and hotels and things of that nature. We got some rentals as well. But I'm just not too fond of a rentals. I don't feel like I can, live the life I want to live.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. So last question for maybe we wrap it up, but you're doing all these flips and all this stuff and you're making some money. What is your forever strategy? Do you have a forever strategy? I mean, like for me, I do the one-time cash events, which is wholesaling or fix and flip. I do the temporary cash events, which is seller financing. But I take the money I make from those 2 income streams and I got to put it into something that's forever, so I could basically work myself out of a job if I buy enough of this forever asset. And my forever asset is self-storages. So, I have about 1,300 doors around Canyon Lake where I live in about 14 locations. Boat storages, mini storages, climate controlled storages, not too many climate controlled, but open parking, semi-truck parking, whatever. But when I own those will end when I say, because I'm basically leasing that space, right? I'm a landlord for that space, but it's not a landlord like for an apartment complex or for a house or fourplex. I didn't want to be a landlord for that product because there's just too much pressure, because when you move someone out of a house or have to force someone out of a house, there's a lot of resistance and it's a whole nother set of,
for sure.
it's much more arduous. And so I wanted to pick something else that didn't have the resistance. If they didn't pay me, that I was able to repossess my unit or my property. So what are you thinking for forever cash, or have you thought about it yet?
I thought about it. I've thought about it numerous times, and I don't know if the individual that I spoke to before we got into this meeting or just introduction. Self-storage. I love self-storage. I actually started getting into self-storage, but I wholesaled those couple units. One I was actually supposed to close on, but I got into some legal issues with the son and the owner and whatnot. But I love self-storage. So I'm actually glad that you do that. But what my forever strategy is, primarily the first one is office warehouse flex spaces.
Yep.
Triple net leasings. We're actually building one right now. I'm in the middle of a construction. We bought a 1.4 acre land in Southwest Houston, near the tollway, near the 59 freeway as well. So near freeways, we bought that, and we're actually in the process of building 20,000 square foot flex space, office warehouse. So basically, flex space is 75% of it. So you rent out each. I know you know what it is, but I'm just giving the
Well,
audience.
okay, go ahead, because I'm not that much into commercial, but I'm saying flex space, probably you could, there's doors, but you can move the walls and they can get more or less space.
Right.
You know?
So as let's just say, ideally, there's two buildings, 20,000 together, 10,000 each. So 10,000 each. We're gonna rent about 6 units, so about 1,800 a unit. Out of those 1,800, 75% of it will be a warehouse, and then 25% of it will be office. We'll rent it out to businesses as a triple net lease.
Yeah,
And,
triple net's great. Triple net meaning, for those out there that don't know what triple net is, they're responsible for the rent, they're responsible for the taxes, the property taxes, they're responsible for the insurance. And you're really only responsible for major repairs, like if the AC goes out or if the roof starts leaking, you have to have the sound. And so, well, it's more of a dependable income. It's going to come in every month because there's not a lot of reasons for you to go back out. Like if you're a landlord of a house, you could get 2,000 in for the rent, but if the air conditioner breaks tomorrow, you have to give the 2,000 up. So it really wasn't even your money. In triple net lease, it's a little more predictable what you're going to make every month, a lot more predictable. And I really like that.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. That's my strategy. So this is our first one that we're actually building. Our goal is to find another piece of land before the end of the year so we can go ahead and start that as well, or start the preliminary stuff for that second one before the year ends. Because by December most likely this one should end. That's the first one that we're working on. But that's my first option. Not my first one. That's my first primarily focus on commercial
Forever cash.
Forever cash. But I'm still not forgetting about self-storage because I love self-storage. I love the whole RV parks and everything like that. But self-storage is also something that I'm gonna get into. I know
So I just want to take an educated guess here. The reason why you have two 10,000 square foot buildings is because if you have one 20,000 square foot building, you have to put in a sprinkler system.
exactly 100%.
You got to put 10 feet between the buildings and you save yourself $100,000 in sprinklers.
You're a smart man. And also because there's phases. So I got phase one, which we want to complete everything with phase one. But let's just say, we can do phase one, which is the 10,000, rent it out, stabilize it, go back to the bank, refinance it, and then get some money out, and then go ahead and do phase two, which is the other 10,000 square feet. But that was
Proof
another
of concept, right? Before we build it all, let's just rent one piece and make sure this works out like we think it's going to work out, right?
Right.
Man, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I could talk to you I'm sure we could talk for a week and never stop because you're an amazing person. You've done really well. Hats off to you and your wife. Be careful with that one thing you said. Learn to run as lean as you can because it all takes a toll. Every person you have takes a toll on you. It's like babysitting for the longest time. And even then, my acquisition managers are 4 years, 6 years and 7 years. They're pretty much independent now and know what's going on, but they still need help. They have not been in the business 27 years. They don't know everything that can happen, and they, got to watch over and make sure. At the end of the day, it's your money, it's our money, right? It's the owner's money. If you don't pay attention to it, it has a way of walking out the back door. So
yeah, right, exactly. Absolutely, you got to pay attention to everything that goes on in your business here and there. Even though you want to work on the business, what you don't pay attention to, you eventually, stop caring about.
Okay, so everything starts with an acquisition. This business doesn't work if you don't buy something. I have My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200 plus ways to find bargain properties. Starts off with, the shoestring budget and how to find leads when you don't have two nickels to rub together.
Right.
And then as it progresses through the book, there's more and more sophisticated ways to mine for houses, but they cost a little bit more money. You have to get VAs involved, but it also becomes more automatic, and you can start taking off your hat buying hat, and you can back out of the building and watch acquisitions happen. I mean, we're acquiring houses right now. My company may break a record this year because we usually do about 100 houses plus or minus, just because we can handle that. You got to have an infrastructure. If you get too much, your infrastructure starts to break down, and then you start making stupid mistakes, and these mistakes can cost you a lot of money.
Right.
But we're already approaching 50 houses for the year in the first quarter. The first quarter is not over.
That's amazing.
And it's been, truly one of the toughest markets, in a long time to find houses. But people ask me why. So I was talking to my partner, Mike. I said, why do you think we're doing so well when it's a seller's market and, there's more competition than there's ever been? And what it boiled down to was our acquisition and sales guys are all veterans by now. They're 5 and 6 years into the game.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my youngest acquisition guy at only 4 years won the trophy this year for the most money made. So even my youngest guy is a superstar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all of them took 6 to 7 to 8 months to really get enough wind underneath their wings so you could take your eye off of them for a second. You know what I mean? So, and Mike had a lot to do with that training, not so much me. My job is to make sure that we have enough money. Well, I had a book around here, but I don't have it. I have a book called The Art of Private Lending. And it talks about, I actually teach people how to lend their money and make 14, 16, 18%. But for those people who would rather be a lot more passive and want to continue to play golf and enjoy their retirement, at about middle of the book, I say, if you don't want to do all this stuff, I already know how to do it. And I'm willing to put your money out using all these same protections and paperwork and everything. But you can just loan it to me and I'll go out there and place this money and do all the heavy lifting. And I'll just send you a check every month, but I can't pay 14, 16%. I can pay you 8%, which is a very preferred rate.
That's still healthy.
To be able to put your money out at 8% and still enjoy your retirement and not have to worry about much of anything. It's a pretty protected position. So
100%.
And there it is.
Hey, but Mitch, hats off to you for having guys for that long, especially in the acquisition department. 4, 7, 8 years. That's a long time.
Well, look, you might, if you want to go into that, maybe it'll be helpful for you because one of the problems is once they get really good, I mean, they may have visions of going out on their own. We actually tested our guys, personality test. What we wanted was we wanted all the good stuff. We wanted responsibility, integrity, punctual, organizational skills. We wanted all the good stuff. The only thing we didn't want them to have was a huge entrepreneurial bone in their body. So we tried to make sure they didn't have any entrepreneurial bone in their body, but they had everything else. Even then, if you believe that a person can learn to be an entrepreneur, or they might jump out and overestimate themselves or underestimate the size of the job, all during the time that we've had them. And this was not a con job. It was just a sales job or an educational task. We constantly explain to them, you could go out on your own and then you have to have the administration assistant and you have to have the office space. And why don't we just make it where it all works? Because I don't make all this money. I have to give some to you. I have to give some to the office space. I have to give it. So I'm not making all the money. You're not making all the money. Let's just all fix it so that we're all accomplishing our goals and we don't have to do and be responsible for everything ourselves. And if you go on your own, you'll have to start this whole thing by yourself, or you'll have to downsize and not do so much volume. And then after they've been with us 5 years, or I think we have a number of houses, I don't remember the number, but once they've reached a threshold, their LLC will partner with me and Mike's LLC on seller financed homes so that they can start having some residual, they can start building a residual income that comes in whether they did anything or not that month. Now the object is not to get them to want to sit down, but the object is, if you don't help them progress, it's like attorneys. If you got a really good attorney and he's bringing in a lot of cases and winning a lot of cases and he's making your law firm a ton of money, if you don't put his name on the board and give him some kind of incentive from the bottom line of the company, then he's going to go out and start his own firm. And now he's taken all that legacy knowledge that you have and he's probably going to take some of your customers, and he's certainly going to bite into your market. So why don't we just address it ahead of time? So we kind of start grooming them that we're going to be together for a long, long, long time, because it makes sense.
Mhm.
And you
Yeah.
have to treat them, and you have to pay them accordingly as they get better and better and better. You know, they have to move up the ladder, and they also have to be able to do some investments either on their own or with us. We prefer that they just do it with us. We'll provide the money, you find the deal, we'll put it to our servicing company, and we'll do seller finance notes, and you'll have some money coming in that you can count on every month and not have to start from zero on the first of every month and go out and make something happen. You know, we still want you to make things happen, but we'd also like to give you some peace of mind, you know?
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say to maybe the new guys out there before we wrap it up?
The new guys trying to get into real estate.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, just to give you my experience, I mean, real estate has changed my life. You know, and just financially thinking about, I'm always, you know, personal development wise as well. I mean, you get surrounded by so many individuals who strive for greatness. But advice to get into real estate is, if you want to get in, and this is something that you know you want to get into, first you got to figure out why you want to get into it. And once you figure out why you want to get into it, then you just got to go all in. This is not something that you kind of just half-ass and just be like, all right, maybe this is going to work, maybe this is not going to work. I mean, it works. You just got to put the work in. You got to be, you know, persistence. You got to have a work ethic. You got to have a hustler mentality when you want to get in first. In the beginning, you got to have the hustle mentality. You got to go in and just know that it's just not going to come easy. There's going to be ups and downs, but you know, it's going to be all worth it at the end. As cliche as that sounds, it's true. You know, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into until I got into it. But a lot of people try to plan things out like, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and just get into it, and then figure it out as you're into it. That would be my advice. Just go all in.
One last question.
Uh-huh.
Quick answer. How much have you spent on education?
A lot of money. I mean, last year I spent $60,000. I've been a mastermind since 2017. You know, spending anywhere from 20 to 30K just on one mastermind. But I've been in numerous masterminds. But I would say average, as in average a year or all together. I mean, for sure 6 figures. For sure 6 figures.
Yeah, I just want to point it out. You're either going to pay the street, or you're going to pay some mentors or some coaches. I mean, the education will never be free. You might think I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to read and do. You're going to get your ass handed to you somewhere, or you're going to be walking past all the kinds of things you could have done, but you didn't know. And so you left that money laying on the sidelines. So
it's going to take you a lot longer to get where you want to be. I mean, you might get there with, but with books and education, you might get there, but it's going to take you a lot longer than the other guy who's finding the shortcut, getting into masterminds, getting into people who have, you know, with like-minded individuals, or hiring that coach that has done it already. And basically, you know, you want to be where they want to be, or where they're at, you can just hire somebody and they'll be able to get you there in a shortcut way.
Yeah, we spent $30,000 to go to a mastermind to learn how to get out of our business.
Right.
Learning how to back out of it and it still run.
Yeah.
And it took about 14 months, you know, getting this one person, getting everything spelled out, getting the next person, getting everything spelled out, firing that other person and having to start over in that chair again, you know, and then one by one, we found the right people in the right place. It's very lean. It's as efficient as we've ever been. Thank God. And we can run at a pretty good clip, about 100 houses a year. But like I said, 50 properties in the first quarter of this year. So,
yeah.
Man, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come on. I appreciate you. Hats off to you and your wife. What's your wife's name?
Nissa.
Nissa, great job. Keep this guy on tracks. Don't let him don't let him do all this stuff. Just keep him down the middle.
Absolutely. She does. I appreciate it, Mitch, and hats off to you. You've been in the game for a long time. You're the pioneer, one of the, in the real estate world. So hats off to you, and I appreciate everything that you continuously and still doing.
Well, I appreciate it, man. All right, this is Mitch with 1000houses.com. I'd like to thank you for joining this episode with Sean Zavary. He's not a coach. He's not selling anything. We just wanted to break it down and show you what his office looked like, how he figured out to get lean and to delegate so that he could have a life and have a great income and still be out there pushing and be on a horizon. So with no further ado,
if they want to follow me,
yeah.
Sean Zavary, SeanZavary. That's my last name. You can follow me on Instagram. And I actually just recently, 3 weeks ago, started becoming really active on TikTok. I'm a part of a TikTok challenge with my cousin, 50-day TikTok challenge. So I put a bunch of value out there, a bunch of knowledge out there for anybody who wants to get in, or just to get your mind right. So follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, and shoot me a DM if you need to know more. I mean, I'm an open book when it comes to it. I just want to be able to help as many people as I can, because when I was getting into this industry, there's a lot of people that I reached out to and they helped me out. So I want to be able to give back as well.
All right. So Sean, Sean Zavary, Zavary. We're going to post everything over in the show notes, and it's going to be 1000houses.com/Sean Z. That's SEAN and Z. Okay. No spaces. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great year.
Appreciate it, Mitch. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.